Hello and welcome to the next lecture. In this one, I'll be showing you how to navigate and how to view different nodes and how to edit them and just be a bit more comfortable in the node graph and in the Hydra viewer. So right now I just have a fresh scene and let's just create a few nodes. If you hit tab, you can actually get the node creation tool. So let's just say we create a simple camera with a camera create. You can actually hit CC for capital C for camera and capital C for create. It's just a way of creating nodes faster. Instead of typing camera create, you can just hit CC and use your cursor keys up and down and hit enter to create it. So we have a camera created. And now let's create a primitive, let's just create a primitive create node, PC node, and go into the drop down and let's just choose GNOME, which is like a preset thing. So if I, right now it's not visible. You can see my viewing node is here, but it's still not viewable. So how Katana works is very efficient. So it only displays what is actually open in the scene graph, and the scene graph is on my left. So as you can see, if I open things up, you should see the GNOME appearing. So once it's fully open, you can see it directly. So that is one way of doing it. And let's say I have 50,000 or let's say 10,000 of these. So I create a hierarchy copy rather quickly, which is kind of a copy and paste node. I'll create that and I'll just choose my source location as primitive. And then I do number of copies. And if I view from here, let's just create a new location under geo. I do a new folder, call this copies. And I want everything to live inside copies, right? Let's just call it GNOME. So everything is in here now. So now I can just say, hey, I want 100 copies of this, and it will create them. 100 GNOMEs after each other. So you can see now, obviously they are on top of each other, but we have 100 GNOMEs in here. There's a way for us to actually move them without having an op script or something. But they are, you can just move them all manually or just move the hero one and you can see they are getting moved. It's hard to actually see that there are now tons of them, but as you can see, we have all these locations and they actually exist. So if I would do a transform 3D after this, like that, and I just select GNOME 1 and I drag it in my path and I make it interactive, I can actually move that single GNOME out of this, and you can see we have quite a few of those. Right, so you can see it only displays what it's viewing, what is open in here. If I close it up, all the GNOMEs disappear, and if I actually close the geo group, all the ones are gone. So now you would think, is that actually, does it make sense? Let's say I have like a really huge scene and only to navigate in the viewport, I need to open all of them. So what you can do, first of all, you can, if you have lots of locations, you can right click and you say expand branch and everything below is being opened. That's one way of doing it, but it can be very expensive because it will open up each child location as well. The shortcut for this is hitting Control++, or actually Control and plus, and it will open all the child locations. You can see they are opening up now. You can open expand the branch to a certain level only to look files or to cameras and all that. You can pin your selections and all that. So it has its helpers and all that. So it's easy to do that. One thing which I try to use more often is actually using these little eyes here, this column with the eye and the checkbox. So what it does, it tells the Hydra, or it tells the viewer which objects are tagged for displaying. It's only a display thing, right? So currently, if I click this, you will see nothing actually, nothing really changes. Everything is now open, but I don't see anything. I would expect it to just show me now a few of these. But how it works is if all of these are off, and I make sure that in my viewer, the little top corner eye is on too, this will now only display objects which have been tagged to show on the viewer. So if I click now my primitive, you can see it starts to appear. Even though if I close it, it will still show. And that's a very convenient way to display things in the viewport. let's say I want to display GNOME 1, I click it and you can see GNOME 1 is there as well. And I can collapse it, and if I close this now, obviously everything disappears because my scene graph is collapsed, but if I click this guy, you can see they are back in action. So that's something to keep in mind, and a good way of working, or a good way I like to work, is like that. If you want to display all child locations, you don't need to click everything like that, right? You have an option to actually use Shift click, and what it's doing then, it just selects all children below that location. And if you want to display everything in Geo, you just Shift click that, and everything below is being displaced in your viewer. If you want to exclude a location, you can hit Control Shift and click, and every child location is being ignored. If you want to then again show a certain child location, you can just click that on. So you have quite a few options to actually override your selections or whatnot. So this would be the viewing side of things. And for navigation, let's just display one GNOME here. So it's the same way as you would work in Maya. For you can use middle, or you can just click middle mouse and drag your view, so which rotates the camera. If you hit Alt and left click, you rotate, and if you hit Alt and right click and hold, you can actually zoom in and out. So you can pan, zoom, hit F to frame, and that's kind of all that for navigation. You can hit your shortcuts, W for translation, E for rotation, R for scale. You have your manipulator at the bottom here. I'm not actually sure. Oh, it's center of interest. That's mostly for lights. If you want to manipulate a light center of interest, you can use that. And these are kind of the options. And the Transform 3D node has Make Interactive. So sometimes you don't actually have the option to move something if it's locked. Let's say it's an Alembic. You can actually not move it. You would need to create a Transform 3D at that location which you want to move, and then you would have the option to make it interactive and then just move it in the viewport. So viewing and editing. So I just want to show a quick way of obviously editing nodes. So you can hit E to quickly just jump to locations, or to locations in your node graph to edit. And you can see if I hit E and hover my mouse over them, they are being editable. The same happens for view. If I hit view and hover, you can see my view node changes. And the scene is always re-evaluated when the view node changes. And you can see my scene graph output is changing. So if I go to the bottom, you can see my hierarchy copy in here. If I click my camera create, you can only see my camera. So let's just merge those two together using a simple merge node, which merges two streams into one. So now camera and merge is in one. If I double click a node, view and edit is moved to this node. So you can now see my camera is in the viewer. I can now click in my Hydra, or in the view, I can click that camera or this exposure symbol, go to camera. This is now my render camera, which I have created on top. I can frame my view if I want it to be like that. And then I can actually go into the camera and I say, make interactive to no, and then I cannot move it anymore. So that's a good way of doing it, so to prevent accidental movement of your render camera. If you want to organize your node graph, you can hit, you can hover your mouse over that stream and hit the dot, the period keyboard key, and it will create you a dot node where you want it to. So I'm just hitting dots and it's doing it like that, similar to how Nuke works. So another cool thing is if you create a node and you want to make a connection. So let's say I create a render settings node, which defines render resolutions and all that. So I don't always want to, like, let's say I'm a bit further out, I don't want to always click that little thing here and click it again to connect it, right? It's always a hassle, especially if you need to do it quite a lot. So what you can do instead, you can hit the tilde key, which is in the top left corner of your keyboard, or on mine it is. It's that little wavy symbol. It's next to the 1 key. If I hover my mouse over a node and I hit that, you can see it automatically creates this lasso thing. And if I go to the node I want to connect it to, let's say the render settings node, I can just hit that again and it does the connection. So it's very quickly to just connect things, right, like that. And you can also hit the mouse cursor, the left key, and just override your connections or whatever. So it's fairly quick to do it. You don't need to click it and click it. You just hit the keyboard and connect that way. It's a lot faster to do. So let's go back here to editing it. So let's just quickly create a resolution. Let's say we want a HD resolution like that. We view from here and we make sure our adjust screen window is based on height. And then you can see my GNOME is framed like that, and I like that, and I'm happy with this, right, this layout. So what if you want to edit or see one node and create similar values and on another node? So you don't want to go edit here, remember that number or copy or whatever, and go back to your transform and then paste that number in or whatever. So what you can do, you can hit Shift and E, and it will actually stack your outputs underneath each other. So you have a primitive create and you have a transform. Let's say I want a camera create as well. I can do Shift E and we can see that one as well. So now you have 3 nodes edited at the same time. So you can quickly just copy this value, paste it here, or whatever you want to do. It's fairly easy to do it like that. What else you can do is you can just hit E again on one node and all the other ones get cleared out. What you can do as well is you can right click any node and say show parameters in floating pane, and the window is being you get a new window which is floating on top, or not in my case actually, but it is here. And you can just have it on the top. If you have options to make it on top, you can do that. You can also just, once it's a new window, you can just drag it over and just drag that little tab thing, and let's just move it here, and you have now a copy of this, and it will not change based on your edits. So it's a absolute copy of the node you pulled out of the window. So that's also a cool way to work, actually, just to extract those windows and dock them, just to have more freedom. Another cool thing is if you want to disconnect a node, what you normally would do is you would click a stream, click the other stream, remove that node and reconnect them like that. So a quicker way, let's just drag it over that line and release the mouse, they get connected again. So if I want to quickly extract a node, you can just hit the X keyboard and it just removes it from that connection. If you want to drop it in here, you can just release it and it's doing that. So X for removing it, and then create a node and drag it over, and until the lasso get yellow and release, then it's connecting them. So that's also a quick way to just connect nodes, fairly quick. If you want a more descriptive dot, you can edit the dot hitting E, and you can untick display as a dot, and you can just rename this to let's say camera create dot or whatever, and you can rename that. And if you want to, you can actually also create colors for any node. So if I have this dot on top here, what you can do, you go to colors, and let's say I want the dot to be black. That's a way to do it. Or you can, for cameras, you can say I want them to be blue or whatever. So this is an option you can do. And you can also create backdrops. Just type backdrop, and you can just drag all of these things in here. And if you hit Control and click the backdrops, the content of it is selected as well. You can move it up. You can double click at the backdrop, and you can say camera creation. You can add that as a name for the backdrop, and you can see the text is being written in the backdrop. You can select the font, change the font scale, and make the font larger. You can tick show in bookmarks, and what bookmarks is, it's a shortcut for J. If you hit J, it loads you all your backdrops, and then you can then quickly jump to something. Let's say I create another backdrop here, like that, and call this primitives or whatever. Primitives, like so. And let's say I'm down here and I want to quickly jump to primitives. I can hit J, prim, hit J, type prim, if I can type it and hit enter, and I'm jumping there. If I want to go to camera, I hit J, type camera, enter, and I'm there. You can see how fast it is to quickly move to locations on your node graph. So it's a good habit to always have backdrops. It's just a lot easier to jump to locations. It's a fairly nice way to navigate. And as we go along this course, I will definitely come up with other shortcuts, and I will always try to remember to name them, to tell you what I did here. So if something comes up, I try to say the shortcut name, and if I didn't do it, please ask a question. I'm happy to give you a quick answer. So I hope this gave you a quick introduction on how to navigate and just feel a bit more familiar or comfortable with the node graph and the viewer on the top here. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture.